Like everyone, Globalheadwinds.com is trying to figure out the direction the US, Israel, and Iran war may take in the coming weeks. The objective seems simple on paper: remove the authoritarian rule of the Ayatollahs and usher in a new regime in Iran. After all, Washington had recently celebrated what it viewed as a major geopolitical success: the toppling of the Venezuelan strongman Nicolas Maduro. The episode gave Donald Trump confidence that determined pressure could force regime changes elsewhere too. So why not Iran? When Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu approached Washington with the idea of coordinated strikes, White House was more than eager. The assumption was straightforward: strike hard, eliminate the leadership, trigger internal collapse. But wars rarely follow the script written in strategy papers. On the very first day of the conflict, the strikes were devastating. In a dramatic escalation, coordinated US-Israeli air power targeted the heart of Iranian's leadership structure. Among those killed was Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, along with several senior military commanders. From a purely military standpoint, it looked like a stunning success. Yet more than 10 days later, something unexpected had happened. The regime had not collapsed. There was no mass uprising in Tehran. The clerical establishment had not disintegrated. Instead, the Iranian system did what it had been designed to do. It absorbed the shock. To understand why the regime change in Iran is so difficult, one has to look beyond the clerics. Behind the Ayatollahs stands a powerful institution, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, widely known as the IRGC. The IRGC was born out of the Iranian Revolution. Its mission was clear from the beginning: protect the Islamic Republic at all costs. Unlike a conventional army, the IRGC answers directly to the supreme leader, not the government. And over 4 decades, it has grown into something far larger than a military force. Today, IRGC is everywhere in Iran. Its active duty personnel numbers somewhere between 125 and 190,000. Supporting it is Basij, a vast volunteer network that could include hundreds of thousands of members. Together, they form a powerful security apparatus embedded across the country. But their influence does not stop there. The IRGC also controls major sectors of Iran's economy: construction, engineering, oil, gas, telecommunications. It runs businesses, oversees infrastructure, and wields enormous financial power. In many ways, analysts describe it as a state within a state. Militarily, the IRGC operates almost like a second armed forces. It controls Iran's missile programs, it commands the country's drone arsenal, it even runs its own naval units designed for asymmetric warfare in the Persian Gulf. In effect, it is the backbone of the Iranian regime. And that is precisely why removing the leadership did not collapse the system. Because the system is the IRGC, and it was still intact. Following the assassination of Ali Khamenei, Iran briefly entered a tense leadership struggle. Clerical factions debated fiercely over who should succeed him. Reports from inside Iran suggest a fierce clash between the hardliners and the moderates. The 1979 revolution had rejected hereditary rule, so the idea of supreme leader's son inheriting power was controversial. But in the end, Khamenei's son emerged victorious: Mojtaba Khamenei. Many clerics opposed the decision, yet the influence of the IRGC proved decisive. With the backing of the Guard Corps, Mojtaba Khamenei secured the position of Iran's new supreme leader. And that brings us to the central problem facing Washington and Tel Aviv. Regime change in Iran is nearly impossible without dismantling the IRGC itself. But neutralizing the IRGC is an extraordinarily difficult task. Airstrikes alone are unlikely to destroy such a deeply embedded organization, which leaves only one other option: a ground invasion. Yet, Iran is not Iraq. It's a vast country with rugged mountains, fortified cities, and a population shaped by decades of revolutionary nationalism. A ground war there could become catastrophic for American troops and destabilize the entire Middle East. Given these realities, a different approach may be worth considering. Instead of pursuing an elusive regime change, the United States and Israel might have to accept a political fact: Mojtaba Khamenei is now the leader of Iran. Opening discreet diplomatic channels with him, could potentially de-escalate the conflict. Because as long as the IRGC remains intact and firmly behind the regime, forcing a government in Tehran that is completely aligned with US and Israeli interests may simply not be realistic. And in war, recognizing reality is often the first step towards ending it. Not every regime can be changed from outside.